It's Thursday. I love that day. Perfect day of the week, perfect time of day. And this is the time of day when it's a little cooler and that cup of coffee is, now that the 100-degree mornings are over, tasting better. This week's title is Aluminum Fever. Interesting, should be catchy. The thing is, you have to mine aluminum. You have to find it. You've got to dig it out of the ground. So in the desire to have a life, our 70 to 100 years of meaning, we want to do something for others. We want to do something for ourselves. We want to help. But we have to find that source, that mother lode, the vein. Why do men dig into the ground? Why are there miners? Because we're looking for a mother lode. We're looking for that payload. Have we been satisfied with just a paycheck? Are we not really happy because all we're getting is a paycheck every week instead of a payload that lasts a lifetime? What is it makes that change? What is it that we can do for ourselves and for others that gives us that desire where we can say, you know what? I want to meaningfully help others. So I'm digging for a vein. I'm creating a mine into a situation, whether it's work or job or into the ground, for gold or silver or copper, aluminum, so that I can find this. And when I hit that, then I can become somebody. I can do something for somebody else. I can have a meaningful life. Well, it turns out what I've noticed and how I got started on this was it wasn't about the mine. It wasn't about digging a hole in the ground and finding the mother lode or payload. It's who I became as I dug. It's who we become as we go through this life, looking for that payload, looking for that beyond the paycheck. You know, the paycheck is kind of like a daily life kind of feeling, but a payload is getting married, having children, having a future. You know, I saw this on the ground this morning. This is a real pretty little butterfly. They flap around here every day. And they're, he's gone on to a better life. There's the backside. Pretty, huh? And, he has no regrets. He has no regrets because he did his job. As much as the beauty stays and he will eventually go back into the earth, no regrets. I posted on my Facebook this morning how important it was in life that, whatever happens, that whatever we do in life, it's what we did with life that really counts. What do we want to do with our life, not just in our life? And the payload is when the with becomes great and affects others and does great things, family, friends, a city, a town, a nation. That's when you've done something with your life, not just in your life. And that also includes when it comes to things that go wrong, because of what we've done and things, the consequence that we're dealing with because of what we did in our lives, hopefully way overshadows the blessing because of what we did with our life. So how do you become this person? How are you able to dig mines? How are you able to tunnel into situations and make things better? How do you get that payload, that mother lode, and really understand that it's the miner who changes. It's the miner who is the special one, the one that's willing to go to the trouble, to bring it out of the ground, to heat it up, to separate it, to smelt it, to get it to the point where it can be used. All the people involved with that. That's where you begin to see how you can be helpful. And you realize, well, let me put this in a personal sense. When I came to this understanding I wanted to help people. I realized I was the worst person in the world. I was selfish. I was single-minded, arrogant. And I'm going to help people was the idea that I thought I had. But when I gave up trying to be someone myself, that's when I was really able to help others. Kind of like the butterfly, the moth. It wasn't about him. It was about the species. It was about helping others. It was about, making more butterflies. It wasn't about a choice. It wasn't about preference. It wasn't about anything else. It wasn't about me. It was about the species, about others. So in my life, when I came to that understanding of it's not about me, I wanted to be something else. And here's how I found out how to be something else. By aluminum fever. Yes, we're getting to the subject. Aluminum fever. So there are many things in the ground that can help us. We can do anything with our life to be 70, to get to 70, to get to 100. What have we done with our life? What have we done with our life? We want to do something meaningful, so we work and we strive to try to get something. We realize once we've got everything for ourselves, it doesn't really mean anything. A lot of football players, a lot of baseball players that have gotten to the World Series, that have gotten to the Super Bowl, were thinking about suicide the night after the game. Because that was their goal. That was their plan. That's what they thought life was about. That's what they thought the meaning was. I've worked for some pretty rich people. I worked for a baseball player. He had a limousine. He had not a limousine. What do you call it? A big Mercedes-Benz. He had a Ferrari sitting in his garage. Another baseball player. He had the top of the line Porsche in his garage. I've seen him. I've seen the car, the car with the 6 spaces in the garage, and all are full of cars. You don't really drive much except for one of them. They all thought this was the meaning of life. This is what you have. And yet, at that point, they changed. After they got their Super Bowl, after they got their, ride on the back of a city police horse in a ticker tape parade, they realized this wasn't it. It's what they do for others that counts. And all of a sudden, family matters. Children matter. That's when things change. How do you change like that? What are the ingredients of this person that wants to do things for others? What are the ingredients that makes us able to meaningfully help others? There are like 4 main elements in this world, 4 main metals. And, gold is useful in its own personal value. Gold isn't used for a lot of products. Gold is basically saved. Gold is used to back up value. It's for money, to buy things. Silver, now that's a different one. That actually is used and consumed. There's only so much silver. You've got to keep mining it or you run out, because a lot of products need silver. Copper, is great for conducting. It is also used to show off, because you get a beautiful copper roof or something that's patinaed to a green. It's very valuable, beautiful, and of course it never rusts, never changes, and that's what makes copper valuable. And then aluminum. That's why the story's called Aluminum Fever. That is a very inexpensive metal. It's a good conductor of electricity. But what makes these metals important? Well, let me tell you this story. The story's called Aluminum Fever. It happened to me back in 91. Let's see, no, it's 93. Let's see, I was already married, so that would be 94. 95. And I was working for a company that did restoration rehab, kind of like the Serve Pro kind of company in South Bend, Indiana. And one of the jobs that I got when I first started working for them was worksite cleanup. You know, they don't really know you. They just put you on a few sites, get you going in the job. And basically what this was a car had gone off the road, hit a house, the aluminum siding came off the house, and they had to put new siding on the house and put everything back together. And so it was my job to go clean up the site as a new employee. And I took some empty trash cans with me and went to the site and started picking up all this aluminum siding and the junk and putting trash and junk in one bucket and aluminum in the other bucket. And so by the time I was done, I had 2 huge trash cans full of folded up aluminum siding and like 2 trash cans of garbage that set out at the curb. And it came to my mind, hey, this is aluminum. People were starting to turn in cans at that time. There was even machines where you could take your tin cans. Remember those machines where you could dump a bag of aluminum cans into it and it would chew it up and spit out some money to you? Remember those days? So I said, well, can I go ahead and take this aluminum to one of those aluminum recycle places? And they said, the company said, sure, just buy a can of coffee for the for the office. I said, oh, that's great. And I ended up buying 2 cans, by the way. So I get to the aluminum recycle place. And I pull into the thing and I take out the 2 buckets of the big trash cans of aluminum siding. And I wait my turn and I get in there and I bring them into this room where there's this huge metal scale on the floor, which is perfectly even with the floor, so that even if something was really heavy, you could just slide it onto the scale. And there's this tall guy. He's a black man. And I could tell he'd been there for years. He had a bright orange suit on, for safety, like a safety suit and a safety vest and all that. Had a hard hat on. And he had a little dip in his lip right here, which I think is where something must have been hanging for most of his life, that he was just, And I slid it onto the scale, and he gave me a little slip, and he said, take this into the office and they'll pay you. And I got in there, and for very little time and trouble, and of course I was getting a paycheck from the company, they handed me $70. $70 for 2 things of aluminum siding. Oh, that's when I felt ill, and I got aluminum fever. After that happened, all of a sudden, everywhere I looked, where's aluminum? I see aluminum cans. I'm picking up aluminum cans. I'm looking for anything aluminum. And about 2 weeks later, I was on another job site for them, and this time I was breaking a drywall out of a house and throwing it in the dumpster outside as they were getting the house ready to rebuild after a fire. And up in the dumpster was the exchange unit for an inside the house air conditioner. It's kind of like when the inside of a house air conditioner is busted up. They bust it up. You've got that tube that goes back and forth. It's like a copper tube, and then it's got aluminum fins, and then it's like looks like a pup tin. And that sits inside the air conditioner, and of course the cold air flows over it. That was sitting in the dumpster. I was like, oh, payday! This is going to be great. So when the clock hit lunchtime, I was right near the aluminum recycle place. I thought, well, I'd drive over there, take 5 minutes to get there. 5 minutes on the way over there, I ate my sandwich. I got there. There was nobody there. I got right in, and I handed him this aluminum and copper exchange unit from an air conditioner. And he set it on the scale. And he said to me, well, I'm going to have to give you the unclean price. I was like, the unclean price? Okay. Whatever that is. And he says, no. He says, he took a magnet out of his pocket, a little pen magnet, and he touched it, and he says, see, it don't stick here, but this is built on a frame. And then bang, the metal, the magnet stuck right to it. You know, and he touched it, wouldn't stick, stuck right to it. He says, I'm going to have to separate this metal from the aluminum copper thing. And so I can't give you the same, you know, that's why it's called the unclean price. I'm like, God, fine. You know, I'm out of time. I'll get back just in time at the end of my half hour for lunch. And I go in there and I think I got $8. $8, wow, $8 for nothing, you know. That buys lunch. And so I'm really excited. And I get back in the car and turn on the car, and I'm heading back to the job. And all of a sudden, coming into my mind were the words, the unclean price. I started thinking about that, because I knew it said unclean in the Bible in a lot of places. And so, ooh, hello, Mr. Bumble. He's very interested. So I'm driving back, and I start to remember his words. Well, I have to give you the unclean price. So then all of a sudden, I start having this conversation inside my head with my spirit. And my spirit says to me, so tell me, give me four precious metals. And I said, well, copper, gold, silver, aluminum. And then it was like, okay, so what? This is the questions I'm asking myself. I think it's from my spirit. You know, the Holy Spirit's working with me here. God's trying to teach me something. And he said, tell me some of the qualities of these kind of metals. And I said, well, they're a single element. They're not mixed with anything. He said, well, I would like you to be single-hearted. I said, they bend really easy. You know, copper, gold, silver, aluminum bend really easy. He said, I would like you to be bendable. I said, they melt at a lower temperature. You can melt it, you can mold it, you can shape it. He said, well, I would like you to be bendable, moldable, shapeable. And I said, so then I said, oh, you know, they are the best conductors of electricity. And God said to me, I would like you to conduct me into this world. I would like you to be a conductor where you can plug into me like an extension cord and conduct me into this world. I was like, oh, wow, is this good? I'm wanting to be a minister. I'm wanting to change my life. I'm wanting to be helpful. So I'm thinking that, wow, this is good. And then he said, but what about that unclean price? And I realized that part of me becoming bendable and moldable and shapeable and being able to conduct God's will, God's desire, God's love into this world was to be separated from unclean things. And isn't it funny? I immediately saw this as an example, how when the steel that aluminum was attached to would attract a magnet. Well, what if sin was a magnet? So that means if I'm attached to something of this world, that's like being attached to the steel. And if sin was the magnet, that magnet stuck right to that iron, right to that steel. But it wouldn't stick, dropped right off. Copper, gold, silver, aluminum. So if I am making myself a single-hearted person, bendable, moldable, pliable, a conductor of God's Spirit without touching it for myself, not a resistor, but a conductor. You know, and people, I'm telling you, you meet someone that's burned out, that's been, working for God, it's because they've been holding something for themselves. They're not conductors, they're resistors. You just kind of have to get back in the flow. If I wanted to do these things and be meaningful, I had to separate myself from the world. So then the Spirit says to me, look up the word allied. And actually, look up the word alloy. And as I was flipping through the pages, back then you flip pages, I stopped, it was like I got to the word allied on my way to the word alloyed. And when I got there, it was like something inside me said, stop, read that. So I stopped and I read the definition of allied. And in that definition was the word alloy. And so all of a sudden I'm realizing, reading the definition of allied, meaning mixed, joined together to make a stronger product than the two products separately, to make a better product than the two products separately. Then I realized that I had to be heated up. I had to be melted. I had to be put through the ringer so that God could separate out what I have allied and alloyed my life with. Because if I'm attached to those things, then sin can attach to me. Remember, the magnet wouldn't attach to copper or silver or gold or aluminum, only to steel. So if I can cut off the big pieces, if I can separate out the alloys of my life, what I have allied my life with in this world, then sin can't touch me. It can't grab a hold. You know, I was on Coast Guard boats. They would have something called the D-ring. And the D-ring, you would wear a belt when you would be on the ship. And as you would walk through the ship on hard, rough days, not on easy days, but if it was a rough day and you're outside or you're going throughout the ship or climbing up somewhere to be on watch, you would have to click in to a D-ring. And the D-rings were everywhere on the ship so that you could go from one to another and always be safe of never going overboard. And then when you were in a really rough place, you would have 2 or 3 of them hooked up to you. If you watch those Coast Guard things about surf rescue and things like that, you will see that they are clicked in to those D-rings. Well, when you separate yourself from the world, when you don't alloy and ally yourself with the music of the world, with the movies of the world, with the words and the attitudes and the music of the world, those D-rings disappear. And when Satan tries to come and click into your life, he tries to get a hold of your life, you're smooth, you're oily, you're clean. He can't get a hold of you because you're pure in heart and soul and mind. The things you've been digging for to try to help others are actually helping you become someone the devil can't touch. He can't hold on to. He can't stick to. Every time the temptation of sin tries to come to you, it drops off. You're like, I'm not doing that. That doesn't even cross my mind to do that. It's not even a part of my life. It's not even a temptation to do. It's because you're so smooth. You're bendable, you're moldable, you're pliable, you don't attract sin. Sin can't stick to you. Temptations don't stick to you. They just drop off. Things, can't get a hold of you because you've removed all the things in your life that things try to click to. But why would I do all that? To save my own life? No. To save someone else. That's what you're really wanting to do. That's why you're going through some of the things you're going through. You think it's just to get through this, but actually it's God getting your life to the place where he can conduct himself through you. He can use you in meaningful ways to touch others. Why are you willing to go through the heat? Why are you willing to dig in the ground to find these motherloads of information and understanding so that you can become this person, so you can help others? That's why. And you've thought that it was all pain and anguish, but all it was really was preparation. Preparation to help you become the person that you've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to be the person I'm becoming now. I've hated myself. Narcissism hates itself because it doesn't want, it's always regretting what it's done to the point where it can't even look at it. You won't get a narcissist to repeat or regret, because if he does, then he's actually thinking about himself and what he's done. Oh, no. We can't do that. So when I came to that point, and when I see these big, huge people all of a sudden start reading their Bible and do all this kind of stuff, if they don't say something like, I regret all the words I've sung, I regret all the books I've written, I regret, and I am turning around and saying, people, I was wrong, then I don't know, what their relationship with Christ is. I don't know if they're saved or not, or if they're just regretting. Because when one of the first things that I thought of was the pain that I caused. When I see someone get truly saved, they experience a catharsis for all they've done. That's what I want to see. That's when I know someone is born again. When they realize what they've done, and they repent and they try to undo all they've done. And the people I knew in the past, I never loved them when I was with them, and that's why, basically they got rid of me, and I needed to go. And but in the years after that, when I became a Christian, always began to pray for them and to fall in love with them and to bless them and hope they have the best life, because of what I did. I have no contact with them. I don't even know where most of them are, but I pray for them because of what I did. So that's in my desire to help people, to undo some of the damage I did in my past. So when I hit the vein, it was over, and I began to become this person that could help people. The digging part was important. I was shoring up the lines. I was putting in ventilation. I was looking for this when actually I didn't even realize the mother lode was me. That the work of digging out, getting all of the dross out of my life, getting all the dirt sifted out of the gold so that the gold could come out, the silver could come out, is what the point was. It wasn't about the value or the anything else other than I could become someone God could help. And if that's your desire, then that's what you want to do too. You want that aluminum fever. You want to look for that thing. You become seeking an ability to become something that's helpful to others. You found yourself. You found yourself when you discovered the gold, when you discovered the silver, and the richness becomes your life. You become who you've always wanted to be. That's what God desires, because when you're who you are and what you've always wanted to be, that's the one that can help others. That's the one that makes a difference. I want to be a person that can help. I want to be free of the alloys and the being allied with this world and alloyed with this world. I don't want to do that. In 1 Peter, wrapping it up with this, 1 Peter 1:7 says that this is how I greatly rejoice, for that though for now, for a little while, as needs be, you have been grieved by various trials. Oh yeah. That the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, and though it be tested by fire, be found to the praise and honor and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ, whom whom you have not seen, and yet you love. Though now you do not see him, yet believing you rejoice with inexpressible joy and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your soul. See, the salvation of my soul didn't come with just being born again, calling myself a Christian. The salvation of my soul came through digging that mine, to bringing out the precious metals, to becoming someone that can help others. Using that faith. And it was 17, I believe. And if you call on the Father, who is without partiality, judges according to each one's work, conduct yourselves throughout time, the time of your stay here on earth, in fear, knowing that you were not redeemed with corruptible things like silver and gold, for your aimless conduct received by the tradition of your fathers, but with the precious blood of Christ, as a lamb without blemish or spot. Silver and gold doesn't save anybody, but it takes silver and gold to pay for ministry. And silver and gold comes from the ground. And coming from the ground builds your character, brings into your life what you need be. So why do I want to help others? Because that's what's in my heart. That's God's heart. How do I help others? In the process of desiring to help others, you become who you've always wanted to be. Bendable, moldable, pliable. You know, and the thing is, you become unbreakable too. Because you can drop a brick. As hard as a brick is, if you drop it, it'll crack. It'll break. So don't be hard. Don't be hard. Be soft. Be moldable. Be pliable. Be bendable. Be shapeable. And most of all, conduct God into this world. Have one hand on God and one hand in this world, and conduct His Spirit, His love to people around you. That's where true life is. That's where true happiness is. That's where true peace and joy and love is, in helping others. You know, I spent many years hating myself because of all the things I did, but that didn't help anybody. So now, if you feel like you've been going through a lot, remember, it's to get you where you've always wanted to go. It's to become someone you've always wanted to be. And it isn't about me. It isn't about the pain in the body or the pain and the hurt and the loss. It's about people. It's about other people. That's what our desire is. So, I want to thank you for being here. Lest a man be born again, he doesn't really understand the kingdom of God around him. He can't see it. That's what Jesus said. So, be born again. Accept Jesus Christ in your heart. Ask Him to come inside your life. Tell Him, change me, Jesus. Forgive me of my sins. I have done you wrong. I have not believed in you, and I have been no help at all. Thank you, Jesus. Come into my heart. Forgive me. Live in me. And help me become someone I've always wanted to be. Help me become the person I've always wanted to be. That's what being born again does. It helps you become the person you've always wanted to be. Thank you. Bless you. Have a good day. In Jesus' name. Bye-bye.